been loving playing Crimson Desert. I do believe it's probably going to be the game of the year in some way, shape, or form. However, the parts of it that I don't love make me understand why IGN gave it a 6 out of 10. And I don't like saying that out loud. But I think if that guy had his own channel and he was not linked to that organization, he would be listened to a little bit better, even if people tell him he's wrong. Now, the parts of it I don't love are parts that are very painful and has to do primarily with the storytelling format. It has nothing to do with the gameplay. Like, once I got accustomed to the controls, I essentially just realized that it was a Grand Theft Auto controls, and I just made myself, get used to it as I played. And I've been loving it ever since. Even though the game frustrates me, I'm still playing it, I'm still having a good time, and I burn a lot of hours in there. And I have to say that because I'm about to complain a lot specifically about the storytelling format. So the things that are really painful that really stand out to me is that there are these weird things going on with the cutscene where there's like a 5 to 10 second delay before your character shows up. So it makes you look kind of weirdly incompetent. There's also like a 1 to 2 second delay between people's sentences when you're talking to them. So you have to basically listen to them talk, hit a period, then there's a delay, and then they say the next sentence. And that's just weird. You also can't skip any cutscene whatsoever, even if it's like a side quest. You should be able to do that. And finally, the worst possible thing in this video game is the escort missions. Now, that's something that should be a skippable cutscene as well. But having to walk around with people simply because they're interested in talking to you for one reason or the other is absolutely painful. And honestly, you should just get some type of additional awards for walking with these people, like additional trust points or something like that for the region, because it's just that painful talking to those people. So to start off with the storytelling format, what I've noticed is in the very opening of the game, as you're like running from one location to the other to help your friends out, when you show up, there's about a 5 to 10 second delay before your character actually shows up, and that permeates throughout the rest of the game. It starts there, and then it goes into like that major war that you dealt with when that first major war or whatever, I can't remember the name, but it don't matter. The point there being is like you show up to these fights and you're watching your team members getting mollywopped, and then you show up 10 seconds later, and it's just kind of sickening in my sense. It was something that once I started paying attention to it, I felt bad because I'm just kind of like, where's my character? Like, I ran to this expecting to like jump into the fight. Why is he just standing around not doing anything? And then to make matters worse now, there was one of the side missions to find other Greymane where I'm having to run up some hill to go help them out. And it's like 2 versus 2, so it's not that real big of a deal. But then as the little cutscene is playing out, it pans towards their right side, and I see myself on a horse in the background, and then I magically teleport from like 50 yards away next to them and start talking to them. And it was very weird because for the interest of the drama of this cutscene, is this character just standing around while his friends are just being whooped? So that's just something that really irritates me. And then because again, you can't skip the cutscenes at all, I started noticing that when people talk, they hit a period, and then there's like a 1 to 2 second delay before they get to the next sentence, which is interesting because when you fast forward through it, there's this weird kind of moment going on where the sentences almost seem more coherent in a weird sense.
The sanctuaries are restored. At least the sky won't come crashing down tomorrow. The thankless life of a witch's work.
So it makes me kind of wonder if they did that because they knew people were going to fast forward through the actual sentences and they want you to kind of sort of understand what is being said. So they gave that 1 to 2 second delay between the two sentences to do that. Now, you might be thinking that's just the acting and dramatic pauses or whatever, but that's not what's going on here. And you could tell purely based off of the fact that every single person is doing it, no matter what conditions they're in. I purposefully used the witch because that's not a dramatic situation for her to be talking in. So she should have just been able to tell me, hey, thanks for activating that thing. We need as much help as possible. Let's move on. But they will elongate sentences. It's almost like because they paid the actors whatever amount of money, they had to force them to say as many dialogues as possible so that we had to painfully sit there. And it's painful. I keep saying painful, but it is really painful. It kind of sucks that you can't just skip through that. And I know like you did all this work and you hired all these actors to read all these lines, But at some point in time, as you're playing this game, you can only hear the same thing repetitively, especially when you're helping the witches out and they show up at every single area you clear and say the same thing. But now we move on to my most hated portion of this game, which is the escort missions. Escort missions aren't necessarily escort missions, but they're escort parts of a quest or something like that. And I hate them with a passion because they're trying to kind of force you into interacting with these characters again. And it makes me hate the character. Now, we did this earlier in the game, but it really stood out to me when I had to deal with it with Yan and Naira. Both of those individuals I hate with a passion. And even though people are specifically talking about Yan, I hate both of them equally, if not more than anything else, including the enemies in the game, because they're very overly emotional. They have some type of drama going on at all points in time. They're just really painful to deal with as a whole, and you can't skip through none of the dialogue. So now they tell you their overly dramatic thing while they're at the camp, and then they say, oh, well, come walk with me real quick. And then you have to hop on your horse and ride with them for a long period of time. And then finally, you get to whatever point you're trying to get to, and they let you go to go do whatever stupid mission they want you to do or whatever thing they need you to do. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't plan on completing any more of their missions. I did like 2 or 3 of them, like let's say 2 per person, and I'm not doing that again because I hate them with a passion, and I hate the whole idea that they have these missions locked behind them. Matter of fact, I think a lot of video games should operate where if you don't want to do the tutorial, you should be able to skip them all together and just gain whatever perks of it just outright. Because even like when you expand the camp and you have to like do the whole farming thing, the fact that you have to first get the animals and figure out how to get them, then bring them back to the camp because you probably don't have money like that, at least I didn't. And then after having brought them back, the mission requires you to butcher them before you can complete it. That just makes me mad. And whoever's in charge of that, you're a bad person. The reason why I say that is because you're wasting resources, okay? I don't like doing any tutorial whatsoever because I always feel like the resources that you use in that, you could have used for something else later on. Because the obvious is obvious. For somebody who's been playing video games for over 20 years, I can tell you that the tutorials always waste a resource that you could have potentially used for something better. Even though they kind of sort of give it to you for free in a lot of games. In this particular one, not so much. But going back to the actual escort missions, it's very painful, man. Like, I'm having to get on this horse and ride with this person or walk with them or whatever. And to me, I should be gaining extra trust points just for walking and talking with them. There's no way that I should get on my horse and I'm riding with this person and I get the stereotypical, normal, everyday 5 points or something like that from just talking to them. I need like an extra 5, maybe even 15, just because I hate these people. You know, one of the missions where you send your Greymane out to build a statue or whatever, that was pretty cool. But you also go there and talk to the guy and you meet him at the location. I guess you meet him in the first place. And he's like, come walk with me so we can go see the statue. And I'm like, why didn't I just meet you at the statue? Like, there's so much going on here that's painful. Because I think about this kind of like in real life. In real life, it would be like if you and your friends are hanging out at somebody's house and they're like, hey man, I got some stuff to do. So your friend now makes you get into your car, start it up, and drive like 20 minutes away from your homes. And both of y'all are just driving. He calls you up on your cell phone and he's telling you all of this stuff that you're not even really paying attention to because he could have told you that at that home. Or he could have said, hey, meet me at said bar and we'll talk there. No, you got to drive together on this road very slowly, talking to each other side by side, and then eventually say, all right, cool, meet me at the bar. And that's just weird. Like, just tell me, meet me over here so we can talk together there. We could even, matter of fact, right, I'm even willing to go to the location and talk for an elongated period of time versus doing this escort mission. Because that's just stupid in every sense of that word. One of the guys that was supposed to take you from one camp to the other so you could take over the city or whatever the case is. I'm very bad with the names, by the way. But anyway, so you have to get escorted by this moron who's telling you how the black bears are dangerous and all this extra stuff. And I'm thinking this is about to be some type of sneak mission. I thought that, Pearl Abyss was going to okie doke me. No. Apparently, They just decided that they were going to do the same escort mission and stop at some stupid bridge so I can then run off and do the same thing I was doing prior, which is to essentially break into places by myself. Like, that was totally unnecessary. And this is a major problem that I don't think the people that created this process here was foreseeing. I don't know if anybody else complained about this, by the way. I didn't watch any other reviews before I did this, and all of this is off the top of my head. So these is my actual natural feelings. That's not me writing this down and then speaking it. I am very frustrated with this to the weirdest possible ends, and I wish you could just skip that altogether. Like, I need extra perk points every time I have to do one of these escort missions. Otherwise, let me just skip them because I don't want to do this. But anyway, that's what I had to say for now. I love the game. I gotta say this right now. I love the game. Every time I get past that point right there, I just go right back into playing, and I'm in there for hours. I haven't even unlocked like the right side of the map. I've just been running around doing stuff. I'm like in chapter 8, but I've essentially unlocked most of the areas, done a whole bunch of stuff, looked up stuff online, and did a whole bunch of other stuff. And to be very honest, I'll probably be in that game for a very long time, like an unnecessarily amount of long time. I'm kind of sharking some responsibilities in doing this. Like, I have to put things on a back burner and then do them later on and just forego sleep for a little bit. That's how much I'm enjoying this game. And to be very honest, like, if they just got rid of the weird escort mission thing and let us skip just the cutscenes for like side quests, it would have been the perfect game of all perfect games. But I do see where some people get frustrated, at least for me. Well, anyway, that's what I got to say. Till next time, I'm out.